day 614 of the Trump administration, which is getting a new assist tonight in its effort to quickly move from controversy to confirmation, or so they hope, for Supreme Court nominee federal judge Brett Kavanaugh. Tonight, the Senate Judiciary Committee scheduled a vote on Kavanaugh to take place Friday morning. That would be one day after the hearing in which he and Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, who has accused him of sexual assault, are both testifying. The committee, which has a majority of 11 Republicans, all men, has hired a woman attorney to question Ford and Kavanaugh. Just moments ago, the committee chairman, Chuck Grassley, confirmed what the Washington Post was first to report tonight, that the committee has indeed selected Rachel Mitchell, an Arizona County sex crimes prosecutor. Mitchell is officially the Sex Crimes Bureau Chief for Maricopa County, Arizona, of Sheriff Joe Arpaio fame. While all of this is going on, Brett Kavanaugh is also facing another allegation related to sexual misconduct. Deborah Ramirez told The New Yorker that Kavanaugh exposed himself to her when they were freshman students at Yale. An attorney for Ramirez had a call scheduled today with staff members of the Judiciary Committee, but he said tonight only the Democrats took part in the call. Kavanaugh has firmly denied both women's allegations.
I've never sexually assaulted anyone in high school or otherwise.
Today, President Trump took a much more aggressive tone, attacking the Democrats and going after Kavanaugh accuser Deborah Ramirez.
I think it's horrible what the Democrats have done. It's a con game they're playing. They're really con artists. They know he's a high-quality person. They don't believe him. It's just resist and obstruct. Now a new charge comes up, and she said, well, it might not be him, and there were gaps, and she said she was totally inebriated, and she was all messed up, and she doesn't know it was him, but it might have been him. Oh, gee, let's not make him a Supreme Court judge because of that.
While the Republicans have asked Ramirez to turn over any evidence she might have, tonight her attorney told Rachel Maddow that he is indeed still trying to reach that full committee.
We've had a number of email communications back and forth, and every time we try to set up a phone call with them, they end up pushing the phone call back. And they keep on kind of changing the rules of how they want to go forward. And every time that we want to talk about how that's going forward and just discuss it on the phone, then they push it back. So, I mean, it's hard to see that they're really interested in getting the information that Ms. Ramirez has. Something clearly occurred. Our client disclosed to her mother and her sister 35 years ago about what happened. There's plenty more people that need to be contacted, that if there's going to be a real investigation.
Meanwhile, another report out tonight from the Washington Post says 3 of Kavanaugh's Yale Law School classmates who endorsed him in an August letter to the Senate Judiciary Committee are now instead calling for an investigation into the allegations from these 2 women. Amid all of this, there is the increasing pressure to get to the full Senate vote on Kavanaugh. On that point, here is Majority Leader Mitch McConnell from earlier today.
We're going to be moving forward. I'm confident we're going to win. I'm confident he will be confirmed in the very near future.
Do you have 50 votes to confirm Judge Kavanaugh?
I believe he'll be confirmed, yes.
McConnell and Senate Republicans would like to have that full vote next week. All eyes are now on key Republican swing votes like Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, who indicated that she thinks an investigation into Dr. Ford's allegations is still warranted.
That an investigation would certainly clear up some of the questions that are out there. But as I understand how the process works, it is not for the Judiciary Committee to make that ask. So I'm operating under a level of a process that is in place, that we are working within and under.
A somewhat different tone tonight from her colleague from South Carolina, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham.
They knew about this in July. They sat on it. We have an allegation that's collapsing. This is an allegation 35 years old. This vote will be Friday, and unless something new comes out that gives veracity to a 35-year-old claim that I don't have today, I'm moving forward.
Three veteran journalists to lead us off on a Tuesday night. Philip Rucker, Pulitzer Prize-winning White House bureau chief for The Washington Post. Carol Lee, NBC News national political reporter. And Jonathan Lemire, White House reporter for the Associated Press. All right, Mr. Rucker, you get to go first. Why this woman as the outside counsel in a city with a greater than average number of lawyers, many of them very accomplished, many of them carrying the double X chromosome?
Yeah, Brian, I think the Senate Judiciary Republicans did quite a search to try to find her. We don't know exactly why they've selected her, but I can tell you a little bit about her background based on the reporting that my colleagues at the Washington Post have done tonight. She's had 26 years of experience prosecuting sex crimes in Maricopa County, which is the county that includes the Phoenix metropolitan area. Why is Phoenix important? Well, Senator Jeff Flake is one of the four Republican senators. He's from Arizona. The four Republican senators who are seen as wavering in their support for Judge Kavanaugh. So there's an effort clearly to try to win his vote. But more importantly, this is a woman who's had a lot of experience prosecuting sex crimes. She's been in the courtroom questioning both victims and people who are accused of these crimes. According to some interviews that my colleagues did with some of the other lawyers who faced her in court, she has a pretty good reputation there. She is a registered Republican, so she's not coming into this with political independence necessarily. She's going to be working for the Republicans, and she is a Republican, but she's regarded in Maricopa County, Arizona, to be relatively fair and direct in her questioning, and clearly has experience in these issues.
And Carol Lee, we should be clear, this is all fraught. I've heard cable news types say that Kavanaugh better have a better game than he rolled out during the interview because he's going to have to roll with questions, can't always land back on his talking points. And this attorney is going to, we can guess, be very aggressive with Dr. Ford in her questioning. So it's all a fraught atmosphere.
It is, and it's going to be a bigger spectacle than we've seen in quite some time in any sort of hearing like this. What she does that the Republicans really want her to do is change the dynamic so that you don't have 11 men questioning a woman who's accusing somebody that they have already, mostly the majority of them, said that they would support and have cast as sort of a done deal. They didn't want that spectacle, and so now they'll have this new woman questioning her. But she is, it'll be interesting to see how the Democrats respond to this, because she is someone who was hand-selected by the Republicans, and it could wind up being one more data point in this, what has turned into a bitter partisan fight between the two sides to either get Brett Kavanaugh to somehow derail his nomination or to jam him through as the Republicans would like.
Jonathan Lemire, let's talk for a minute about those who have psychoanalyzed this president down to why he might have run for the presidency. Some people theorize it was getting laughed at the Correspondents' Dinner, being the brunt of Obama's jokes. Well, it happened today at the UN. There's no mistaking what happened there. Then you get to see him less than 2 hours afterwards. It was your question he was answering today when he went after this woman who has come forward, this second victim making the allegations. And then we got to see his reaction.
That's right. We thought the headline of today would have been that laugh. His address to the General Assembly today at the United Nations, the second time he's done this. Within the first 90 seconds of his remarks, he talks about how he says his administration is perhaps the most successful to that point of any presidency. And it was a slow-rolling but very distinct and very loud.
Because of the translation.
That's right.
Coming over the headphones. Exactly
right. The translation sort of rolled through the crowd, and as everyone heard it there, all the dignitaries, all the world leaders, they began to laugh. And you could see the president in a rare moment where he was obviously flustered and then tried to cover it up with a joke. So we thought that's where today was going. And a short time later, the press pool, which I was a part of today, were taken to a bilateral meeting between the President Trump and the President of Colombia. And after their sort of perfunctory remarks, he took some questions from us. And I asked him, after he answered one or two that was sort of pertinent to Colombia, I asked him about Kavanaugh and the interview from last night on Fox. and it switched.
Yeah.
And he clearly was teed up and he wanted to talk about it. And in our reporting, this is something that's been building up within him for several days, that he initially, when these allegations came out against the justice, he was sort of able to separate it from the sexual misconduct claims made against himself during the campaign. But that has changed in recent days. The New Yorker article on Sunday, in particular, sort of enraged him. He has told people around him that he thought it was flimsy, it was thin, it was the media and the Democrats out to get him. And we saw that explode today in remarks that the White House aides have been trying to throwing themselves at him to prevent him from saying. They thought that if he were to go on the offensive against the Kavanaugh accusers, it's the worst thing that could have happened to the Republicans' cause to get him through. But he wanted to say it. He called the woman inebriated. He called her drunk. He said that there were gaps in her story, basically said that she was not credible, and that it was very clear that he views the Me Too prism not through the idea of women who feel like they've been wronged, but rather the powerful men who were facing these accusations. And he said today, in response to my question, the idea that there would be people who wouldn't want to do these jobs, men who wouldn't want to be politicians or Supreme Court justices because of the risk of facing these accusations. And I think that clearly shows the level of concern in the White House and the president himself heading into Thursday's hearing. My sense of it is they didn't necessarily love Kavanaugh's interview last night. They were glad to have some new footage out there. They were glad to have him a little bit on the offensive, but they wanted more passion, they wanted more fire, and they're worried how he'll stand up to the Democrats' questions on Thursday.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.